Hello, and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Tunnigan.
And we're coming at you with, what should be a glorious time of a new Zelda coming out, living the dreams, which also is the end of an era, the end of the Switch, all coming full circle. Even though it's kind of interesting because it's one of those times where for the last handful of generations of consoles, Nintendo's always done the thing where they end on a Zelda, but it literally comes out for that next system all at the same time. And this one's just where it's a standalone one, I guess, in a sense like how Majora's Mask was.
Well, I mean, have they even announced that? Because usually they have a new system announced for holiday season, unless there's everything kind of on the way back burner. Maybe they got one more year of Switch before they DLC for this game or whatever, before they entirely pull a plug on it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's kind of a weird one because you think there would be some form of announcements. I know there's those rumors of, the next Nintendo system and so on. And knowing Nintendo, sometimes they don't even come out during the Christmas times. Remember the Switch literally came out in March,
That's true.
Because I remember literally we were doing your birthday party thing and I was we're sitting in the hotel room. I was oh shit, pre-order for Switch, click.
I forgot about that. That's right.
I was boom, I secured that right then and there. So yeah, it's kind of a weird one because it's this is kind of the last hurrah. So that we got Pikmin 4 coming out and some DLC for Pokemon, but it's kind of weird because you look at the future. It's the biggest thing is Nintendo's well shit, we'll throw that new Mortal Kombat game back on the Switch. So so you can play the 360 version of the Xbox 360 version of a game that's supposed to be on PS5 and Series X.
I'm hoping we get as far as I'm hoping we get I'm not getting my hopes up, but I'm hoping we get something like another Mario game. I don't think it's going to be I don't think we'll get that, but I hope just something to mix it up a little bit. And by a new Mario game, I don't mean a sports title or a party spinoff or something like that. I mean, an actual if it's not Mario Odyssey, then something kind of, I don't know, just something kind of different. You don't know, or if it's not Odyssey, then maybe not new Super Mario Brothers, but a different version of a 2D Mario game, just something to mix it up a bit. But it wouldn't surprise me if they don't, because I feel like we would have already, a lot of Nintendo leaks aren't always all that predictable. Not predictable, but all that accurate too,
Yeah. Well, it's not when, gosh, then again, Nintendo can pull that stuff though. It's when that Metroid Prime remaster came out. I know it's just a remaster or a remake in a sense, whatever, even. That thing just literally came out. It was by the way, oh yeah, this comes out in 2 weeks, and they dropped it with a bunch of other stuff. It's get your wallets out, don't fucking question it. You're gonna buy it, that was one of those ones there was no pre-planned notion for that, so they can still pull that stuff. So it's not saying that there can't be something random that will just pop up all of a sudden, be hey, by the way, maybe Metroid Prime 4 is here in Christmas time. But it's interesting because it's one of those ones where we're at the tail end, and when I do think of a Switch, you got to be honest, a Switch is a glorified Xbox 360 at the end of the day. That's the thing. That's that thing. It's we think of it like a modern console, but if you kind of do the hardware specs and everything like that, you're that's more what it really is. It's just it's if someone just kept making games for that system and it just happened to turn handheld.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Nintendo, we'll go actually talk about Tears of the Kingdom in a second and then the Turtles comic, but Nintendo's not really even trying to before it used to be a two-way war, Nintendo and Sega. Then it was Nintendo, Sega, and Sony. Then it became Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Now it's just kind of Microsoft and Sony are still going at it. But Nintendo is we're fine over here. We found our own little plot of land that we don't have to fight for. People come here, they'll come to us. Where else are they going to get this shit? You guys do what you want to do. We're fine. It seems like they're done tossing rocks that way. They're in a different market now. So, but I feel I wouldn't mind seeing Nintendo actually and that's probably what made them why you see so many people go out and just want to buy a Switch, because it's often cheaper, because it doesn't have all the same specs and whatnot. But at the same time, I wouldn't mind them seeing amp it up and not always be 2 generations behind.
Well, because that's the sad thing is the last time that Nintendo was like, I guess you would say cutting edge was the GameCube era. That was the last time that the system was pretty much on par, other than the fact they had a couple like micro problems of, I guess, having the smaller disc that could only hold so much. But beyond that, everything else about that system was, more powerful than like a PS2 in certain ways. So it's like ever since then, it's like they almost just kind of backpedaled a bit on there. And it's like that thing too. And I know that Nintendo likes to always make it like easy access for anybody in a sense. Like that's always kind of their thing, which don't get me wrong, that's a good plan and all. It's like, it'd be nice just to have like at some point, just be like, here's like in a sense, like the pro version of the console. I mean, it always seems weird to have two types of consoles, but if there's like when someone's like, hey, here's a Switch that's $600, but like it's literally as good as your Series X, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take that.
Same thing here. Like if they had something to the effect of like, here's the Switch that's like, I don't know. If they just had something where, because it just seems, I feel like the Wii, because the Wii was very inviting and a lot of old people were just happy playing bowling and golf. You know what I mean? Since then, I don't think, or even Wii Fit. Since then, I don't think, because, grandparents would be like, oh, look, we got the Wii. So, we can do Wii golf and bowling whenever the family's over. And, the grandkids have something to play, something to keep them interested in. And then now we're at the Switch. And if they buy, I don't think they're going to buy the Switch because they're not going to play that same shit probably. So now I'm like, guys, you could go the next level. You can go the next level.
Yeah, it's like I said, we're one that the Wii was a fluke. You know what I mean? Like, and I like the Wii, but like, like that kind of like that crap ton of sales that it got from there. Like that was one of those weird fluke ones. You're never going to capture that like again, at least not for another like 20 years. But I would love to see Nintendo kind of, because the downfall is like, we have a lot of friends that are like, that were pure hardcore Nintendo fans for the longest time. And then once kind of like by about that Wii era, once the systems weren't like competing anymore, they just sort of jumped ship. And it's like, they just went to PlayStation or Xbox and, they're the kind of people that like, they're only going to buy one system anyways. They're not like, they don't get that fucking Pokemon philosophy. We've got to catch them all. Mm-hmm. But, so it's like, I know people to be like, hey, if Nintendo was just as powerful as a PS5, I would buy Nintendo instead. Like that's all it would take for them to switch back. Like they are ready to change instantly.
And that said, yeah, like Nintendo usually comes first whenever I buy my consoles. But that said, yeah, I would like to see them step it up. I just like to see them amp it up. They could, and the most of their fan bases. I mean, grandparents are still alive. Like they bought the Wii. Why do they need to buy any of the next ones? That's kind of the thing. Like, what, you got a Nintendo now? You want a Super Nintendo? How, we already bought you that goddamn thing. That's the same mentality. A lot of people that bought the first Wii in the first place, I think that's what they have. Why would they go out and get another one for the grandkids? They're not going to fucking do that. That's just my opinion. I think that's what Nintendo wants to hold on to. But at the same time, I just like to see them go up the next step. But I guess we should probably talk about what's on the thumbnail or on the title. Tears of the Kingdom, which we're not that far into it, either of us. At least I'm not that far into it. There's a lot to do. But overall consensus so far. I mean, I know where I stand. What about you?
Well, really quickly, just saying on that Nintendo thing, at the end of the day, I will say, no matter what, at the end of the day, I do buy Nintendo first always. And I hate to sort of say it, Nintendo always has the best games generally, like over PlayStation and Xbox. I don't care how much power those systems ever have. Their game's never going to compete with a Nintendo game. But ironically, Tears of the Kingdom here, and it's funny because people like everybody else I've kind of talked to, they thought like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. It's like, it's so innovative. It's so amazing. It's like a perfect game all around. And I feel like me and you are the only people who go like, is this pretty much just like a Breath of the Wild 1.5? Like, it feels like I'm playing like the thick version of like an expansion pack. Like, if this was a PC game in 1999, this was the expansion CD that came with it, which it was cool. Definitely adds some stuff to it, but it is kind of your same game still of just some extra, map packs and extra levels and maybe a new shorter campaign, for half the price. But instead we paid more price for this.
7 years later.
7 years later, to top it off too. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, because once again, going back to when it was Ryan's birthday and it was 2017 or whatever, and that first Switch went on sale, and you get Breath of the Wild and everything like that, and it's a whole brand new experience and what have you there. And then this one here, it's like, it's the very first time that I ever really played a Zelda game. And I'll say this, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but it's one of those ones, like, I just feel like I've never seen a Zelda game that was really like the same thing. I know some people be like, well, it's always the fire temple, the water temple, but they're always in a different location. There's a different theme. There's something that goes around, like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time, even Majora's Mask. Those ones are all completely like different feeling. Yeah, they might have a similar temple. Yeah, you might throw a boomerang, swing a sword, you know, that kind of stuff. But beyond that, though, like there's so much different stuff going on. This is the first time where like you kind of start off and you go, so you want me to run back and do all those stupid puzzles again and do all the goddamn towers as well and literally do almost the same stuff I was just doing a second ago? Even the enemies all look the same.
So here's the thing. Yeah, basically on the same boat as you. I'm very underwhelmed by it. Now, granted, I'm very early in it. Now, here's what I think. Because I see, and we'll get to the crafting thing in a second, but I see like later gameplay and I see all the crazy shit you can do and make and use and find a way to combat and all that. So I think it might be something, the more you play it, the more it will be worth it. I think as you progress, it's going to get better and it's going to change. The thing is, though, okay, you open up on like, you know, the Sky Sanctuary or whatever. Okay. And, you know, like like second to last level from like Sonic 3 and Knuckles or whatever. Okay, you're up there.
Yeah.
Or Sonic 3, you know, but you're up there and, you know, you're just going through all that shit. And it's okay. It's more of a bigger expanded version of the Great Plateau. And I understand that, you know, you got to like depower Link to some extent. But then you get down there, and after you get done with all that shit, you get back down to the ground. And then, yeah, sure, the map's a little different. Like, okay, the Birdland is snowy. The Zora Land, it's raining shit.
Yeah, somebody's sewer system went out.
Yeah, exactly.
Septic's going everywhere.
The place with all the big, tall mushroom like canyon things, that's all flooded for whatever reason. Okay, there's things that are different, but not that different, you know. So yeah. It's kind of like okay, maybe all like the things that went into like making this game over the years was the level of physics to create the shit. And oh look, whatever every single thing you attach to your arrow or your weapon has a different effect. Like, okay, that's cool, but is it really 7 years cool? That's my question. Does it? I think it's cool that I could. Oh, a Keese eyeball actually has a fucking use other than just a potion now. You mean I could attach that to an arrow and it works as a homing attack? Oh wait, you know, so that means an electric Keese eyeball will do that and electrocute them. That's cool. All right. What else you got? You know, like, okay, so you get to like Minecraft some shit. All right, okay. I mean, I'll let you talk for a minute. I've been rambling. So.
Yeah, well, that is kind of it. Like, it's that one that because it's weird because it's like, you know, I mean, I know there's like the connected universe of Zelda games, but for the most part, Zelda games are all their own kind of separate things. The only one that's really ever been a continuation, other than some of the handheld ones, is you know, Majora's Mask. But Majora's Mask is literally you go back time as a kid and it's like you walk down the left path instead and now you're in a completely different world. So it's like, even though it is a continuation, that world, the whole like whatever Terraria or whatever that is, completely different. Not the same as Hyrule. Everything's different. Yeah, you're still that same young Link, but everything else in that world's there. And that's only like 2 years later that game is. You know what I mean? I mean, it uses the assets of like Ocarina of Time, has that same engine, but it still feels like really fresh, and they still throw all kinds of stuff on there. Where this one, once again, it's 7 years later, and it's using like literally all the same assets and it plays identical and kind of like that. They just kind of add some, like, in a sense, alternative gameplay stuff in there. So instead of having like that, you know, magic bomb stuff, it's still got all the damn robot magic that like fills the world. But, you know, they give you this Lego brick building thing where you just start slapping shit together to make, you know, a car or a floaty thing or a bridge or, you know, other hokey stuff. Which when I first did that stuff, I was like, oh, this is going to be very like frustrating and kind of a pain in the ass. And as time gone on, I've gotten better with it and so on like that. Like sometimes I wish it had like a third plane of control when you're trying to move things around. Like it sounds weird, but just like when I manipulate things on like a computer, like you get 3 planes for everything. And that one you kind of have to, it's not as intuitive, but it's still, I've gotten kind of more used to it and kind of there. And I'm glad that like, it's not so overburdened that I have to like build this shit. Like at least the upside is it still has that kind of feeling that there's multiple ways to get to anything. So if you don't really want to do one way, that's okay. There's a couple other ways you can kind of go about getting there, or you can even like just power your way through there. Like sometimes just the old fashioned, like I'm just going to climb this fucking mountain and eat a bunch of stamina potions. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there's also that thing of like, when you later, I think that you get a function. Maybe it's already there, and I'm a dumbass and I missed it. But there's a way to save things you've made and pocket them for later. I think there's a.
Oh, is there? I haven't seen that yet.
I've seen people just like, because I've seen like little like playthroughs. I've seen the crazy shit people have made and just drop it out and send it after a dragon or something like that.
Okay, so that's kind of cool.
I think as it goes on, you can do that later. I don't know for a fact. I haven't been trying to spoil myself on anything, but I just saw like somebody just like it's becoming kind of a YouTube meme of like kind of like Link's our last hope, and like the thumbnail is Link with like a goofy face or something, and they play a part from the chair like Zelda, Link is our last hope, and that's so what he will. It's like Link, and they play the dramatic music, and they just show like Link on like one like a forged like giant dick shooting fire or like just kind of like just stupid shit like that, just these like dick centrically shaped like vehicles or something.
Well, because it is that one you could build all kinds of weird shit, and that's probably what that patch was all about. They're probably gonna try to minus some of that down.
I didn't even think about that. I haven't taken that patch yet, so I'm wondering like, oh, we didn't put this together because there was one with like I'm just like a smiling man. It was shaped like a smiling man with a big fucking cock with like a flamethrower at the end. So I'm wondering if like, God damn it, we didn't. Why didn't we put this together? But like so it's like. That aside, like that shit aside, like I honestly think this is a game that's going to get better as it goes on, because you'll probably get more power ups, and it's not because there is a little bit of that thing of like you get somewhere. Because I was kind of like ready to like, dude, fuck this game. I'm never going to finish this shit. There's a minute where I was like that, because I'm not going to lie. I got home from work late, and I just got the game recently. I'm like, I'm going to play a little bit more through it, and every single thing I was going to, it was like there was something blocking my way. Once or twice, it was something that like. I just didn't realize it. Like, all right, I was like, okay, I like to build up the map and get that all out of the way, and then start doing missions. It's just I'm a little OCD that way when it comes to some things. So I was just trying to go from map to map, and there's a couple spots of the map where it's just like, oh God, I could sure go for some mushrooms. There's apparently some mushrooms underground. Like, I'm gonna get some fucking mushrooms, and
that was like one of the most misleading fuckheads. Like.
And then I go up there, I'm like, I can't give away to give him mushrooms. I start throwing the mushrooms at him.
Attach it to a bow and arrow. Like, what do I gotta fucking do to give you a mushroom?
Yeah, I'm like, all right, fuck you. Okay, so I guess I walked all the way up because I don't have a horse yet because I just landed. So I guess I gotta just walk all the way back somewhere, So then I walk over to like Zora's Domain. At the time, I didn't realize you can like clear the sludge through the splash fruit. I didn't realize it at that moment. So I walk all the way over there. I'm like, well, God,
walking
fucking
through shit.
And then I'm like, okay, well, there's another one over here. So I go all the way over
through, 10 miles of shit just to get to Zora's Domain.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I walk through 10 more miles of shit to get over to some other some other tower. But the tower's covered in like thorns, and it's raining. And the way to kill the thorns is like a flaming bow and arrow. And I can't, since it's raining, it's not igniting. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this game? So I was getting to this point where I was just like, kind of starting to lose it on this shit. And like, I was like, 7 years to use the same fucking assets in every single fucking thing I go to. I need another fucking thing yet. And the game's like, well, fuck you. It's an open world. It's an adventure. You got to figure it out. Well, I've already fucking done this shit before. Why the fuck do I got to figure it out again? Yeah. So I'm not going to lie. There was a minute where I was just like, fuck this. But then I'm like, I put the game down, I came back to it, and then here we are. And it's not perfect, but I like it more than I did that day.
That's sort of how I felt. I felt because like when I was first starting off, am I just going to do a bunch of dumb robot magic temples again? Go get all those stupid things, and it was just like it was one of those ones like I feel like when a video game starts to feel like you should be clocking out and getting a paycheck at the end of the day, then there's something kind of wrong, you know. And I know there's people out there that love that. Like, I feel those are the people that feel like they don't need to work or that they could work and not get paid also too. So go figure that. But so there was that. It took me like it was one of those ones like I'd play the game for a little bit, and then I'd literally go play another video game. So I'm like, it just makes me feel like I want to play something else, you know. But once I finally got to like the Zora domain, and it finally had like story, and there actually was purpose going on, and you weren't doing just the stupid robot magic stuff, and it was like, then it started coming together a lot more. I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to enjoy this. It does still feel kind of, once again, it's definitely Breath of the Wild 1.5. It doesn't feel, it's like, it just doesn't have that new Zelda game feel. That's like the thing. And I mean, I get it. People love the living daylights out of Breath of the Wild. So like Zelda or Nintendo's just sort of milking it, you know. And don't get me wrong, I love Breath of the Wild. It's like the game that I think I have the second most amount of time on my Switch. I enjoyed it. But if I kind of compare it to all the other Zelda games, it's probably one of my least favorite Zeldas at the end of the day. Like I do not like it nearly as much as pretty much almost any of the other ones. But I think because my main thing is it kind of is like that one, like the open world and the crafting takes over way more than like the story and the temples and all that kind of stuff.
For me, Breath of the Wild, I think just because the time is so radically different, I think it is a really good game. Breath of the Wild is probably within my top 5, and probably with number 5 or 4 for me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think ahead of that is probably like Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, Ocarina, of course, you know. But like, it's one of those things where, how do I put it? It's kind of like, I've heard people say after this game, Breath of the Wild is kind of obsolete. And I kind of see what they mean to a certain extent, because this is just Breath of the Wild plus more. But I guess that's the thing that's also frustrating. Like, maybe I'd like this game more if this was the game that came out instead of Breath of the Wild, you know? And story-wise, okay, cool, Ganondorf's back. And he's like, you know, just fucking jacked as all can fucking be. So I'm back, I'm here to fuck some shit up. Like, all right, cool. You know, he's not just an orange thing of mist anymore or some Princess Mononoke shit. You know, he's actually Ganon again. Cool. And we're getting more story. But then another part of me is another part of me is a little kind of like, can we just speed this shit up, man? I mean, come on. Like, I will say, I mean, something into the story. I do think it's kind of funny. Like, it's interesting design choice. Overall, I think the character looks cool. But it's like, we are the founders of Hyrule. This is Queen Sonia, this super hot, like, MILF Zelda-looking lady. And then me, a sky goat with little baby feet. Like, it's because he's like the super, like, he's a super, like, you know, like pretty femboy goat man thing. It's like, furries, are you moist yet? You know, but then like says, look at my little crop top and my swimmer abs, you know, or whatever, as these cum gutters. And then like you see, you know, you think he's really tall, and then you look at his proportions and you think like, his torso is really tall. What the fuck's with these stubby little baby feet he's got? Like, you know, just like, it's just so off-putting because he's like the super tall guy, and you think it's just everything's like, I don't know. There's something really weird about somebody who's like all torso and then just like, you know,
little feet,
little tiny feet, just like, you know, just kind of like walking along.
Just coming by and someone like that.
It's just because I'm like, that's a very interestingly designed character. Okay, then all of a sudden, just like,
you look down and you're like, what the?
And he says like, that's right, Zelda, you're part goat, man.
It's Hyrule. It's weird.
This is some pagan shit.
I'm looking at you, Christian parents.
Yeah. They're just like, oh shit, it's one thing for like them to put the furry into the fucking game, but now not only that, they gotta make it to like, what? Zelda's great grandfather's a fucking goat man? I don't know, maybe there's something I missed. They said a union between the Hyruleans or whatever. So maybe he's the second dad. Maybe he's the stepdad. I don't know. Maybe there's something I missed.
Zelda and my two dads.
Yeah, maybe it's something kind of like that. I don't know. But I just thought I just wasn't expecting that, you know?
Yeah, no, it's got some. As I said, once the story stuff kind of kicks in, I feel like I get more interested. It's sort of just like the work in between just feels like. I mean, even Breath of the Wild. By the time I was like in the end, we're like, God, more of these fucking stupid little micro temples just to get the heart pieces. You start going like, can I just find a heart piece behind like like a barn or something like that again? Like, Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's like all those ones like. And then it's got the stamina, because that's the only thing I will say, and this is just like Breath of the Wild. There's some features I generally don't care for very much in video games. Is I don't like crafting, I don't like stamina bars, and it's like I know this game's kind of filled with that sort of stuff, Well,
I feel like maybe go ahead. Sorry, cut you off.
I was gonna say like the in Breath of the Wild, the crafting once again was like one of those ones where it's like at least it's minor. Like that's the thing. If it's very really secondary. Minor. Yeah, like you don't have to really do it, or it's like I always say, like in certain games, like if it's like you just combine two things together to get like ammo, I don't mind that. I hate when there's games where it's like, okay, you got to get like a beetle from across the way, and you got to get this little plant from down below, and then you got to get. And it's like one of those ones like, well, literally, how was I supposed to know where all that stuff was? I'm just gonna randomly run across it and then like try to put that to get like that kind of stuff. It's like that. I always think that's silly. Like if you need a strategy guide literally to put this together, then there's something wrong.
Well, it's also something to the effect of like how do I put it? Going on the crafting shit for a minute. Actually, not even crafting. I might be wrong. I feel like it's been a while since I played Breath of the Wild, but I feel like to get all the shit, the power ups of Breath of the Wild, you only needed three things. Now it's fucking 4.
No, you needed 4 in the other one because it was the same. It was the same. Okay. It was the same balance as like heart pieces. You always needed 4 pieces.
Okay, I thought you only needed 3. Okay. Maybe I guess I remember that wrong. All right, I was like, why do I gotta do fucking 4 now? But okay, that makes all right. It's my memory that's fucked up, not the game. Okay.
Yeah. So
but at the same time, it's the whole thing of like, I understand it's probably easier to maybe just like. It also feels like story wise because the whole thing in the story is. There's the Triforce of Power, there's the Triforce of Wisdom, and the Triforce of Courage. Triforce of Power, it's just there. He took what he wanted. He fucking got it. Why? He's all fucking powerful. Wisdom, hey, I was born this way, bitch. I'm born smart. I'm born beautiful. I know what I want. Triforce of Wisdom. Triforce of Courage. Hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Fucking prove it. Again. Again. Do it again.
Do it again.
You want these powers? You gotta fucking do it again. Do it again. Fucking prove it. Like, guys, I've lived like 40 times, and I've always done all this proving myself shit. Oh, we haven't proved it enough. Oh, I haven't. No. Okay, what do I gotta do now? Make a glider thing, fly across this big empty void, and try and get this ball into this basket. Why? Are you really care? Are you that dedicated? Well, yeah, I are. Then fucking do it. Do it. No, why? How does this stuff to do with courage? Courage. Are you brave enough to do this, knowing you're going to die and be born again the next 100 years, and not put a fucking gun in your mouth? All right, that's how you know. Because think about that. That's Link's existence. To die, not to do all this shit, not get the princess, die, wake up again. Oh, you enjoying your nice day off at the farm? Well, fuck you. There's a bunch of moblins are attacking. Get to fucking work.
Yeah, he's like in a bad version of Run Lola Run. Like it just keeps repeating. Different generations. And it's like he just wants to sleep in. That's what all the poor guy wants to do. He just wants to sleep in.
Wants to sleep in. Wants to have like just sleep in and just hang out with a fairy or whatever. And then next thing you know, like, hey, fairy boy, get the fuck out of here. Why? You're the chosen one. We just fucking hate you for that reason. Like, don't fuck, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those ones. So he's just always putting through all that. So just like Link, you got to go through all that crap again and go into all those kind of generic. I think it's also like those little temples. I just feel like there's too many of those little temples. It's just like they're just not that interesting. I mean, sometimes you'll be like, oh, that's kind of a cool puzzle. It's like a lot of times, like whenever there's a fighting one, I'm like, thank Christ, because these ones at least go by fast.
Well, sometimes it's some stupid monotonous bullshit of like. here, look, there's some ice cubes and there's some fire. Figure it out. Ooh, just like we're just like it's like, hey, look, there's fans. There's fans. You just got the parachute thing. Figure it out. Ooh, like I'm like, fucking God, dude. And it's always the same. It's just kind of like, okay, I know before it was all black and blue. Now it's gray and green. You're like, all right, cool. I just think it would be interesting if they take the same world. I thought they would do something like this. Maybe the next one they will. I don't know. Probably not. Who the fuck am I kidding? Take the same type of like gameplay, but put it back into like a more Zelda looking world to that extent. Like do it something kind of like it. Like you have a fire temple. You have a water temple, and you can maybe do some of these same type of physics puzzles and whatever. You can still do that, but just give this shit a fucking theme. It was fine for Breath of the Wild because it was the first time we tried it. Yeah. But now it's like I don't want to go into into these little mini temples and do this like stupid monotonous shit. Make me actually, because I feel like I'm just doing a mini game as opposed to having the stakes of walking into the Shadow Temple or the Sand Temple, or something that actually has a theme and has like some kind of story. This seems like Link is just us to go down and just do all,
Yeah, well, it's the thing that it's one of those ones like because the downfall. This is like the downfall of the most open world games is that they always want to make the maps really big, but they're always really fucking empty. That's always the kind of problem. Like I just feel like those heart pieces are like just like those. You know when you see like those moblin like forts that are just there for no fucking reason. They have no purpose. There's like you don't even have to go to them. Why doesn't you put one of those like heart pieces up on there? You know what I mean? And like, oh, you have to battle through this little fort thing, and you get a heart piece that way. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much of the stuff out here. Or like, hey, we have these horse stables, and the horse is practically useless because it's like there's just most of the time it's like, oh, cool, I'm riding the horse, and there's like, oh, now there's a mountain in my way. Well, fuck it, you're staying back now. Yeah. It's like make the I don't know. I'd rather not race, but like have like a horse race where you win one of those points or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they could just change it up from going to that same generic looking temple that like every single time it's just to get that little piece. I don't know. It's like it bothered me in Breath of the Wild, and it's like it's just kind of almost like double downs on like this one here, where it just feels like okay. And it's not that they're god awful. It's not that. It's just not nearly as creative as I feel like every other Zelda game's been like before Breath of the Wild.
Well, Breath of the Wild was so drastically different that it was hard not to like, for me personally, it was hard like just not to appreciate how like, okay, we don't have like the forest temple, but we have a lot of forest. Okay, we don't have the fire temple, but we have like a volcano that actually, because that's because the world like in like other previous Zelda games, you go to that world, it would feel relatively that section like here's a small little fire section, now the fire temple, here's Hyrule forest, then now here's the forest temple. It's like always smaller. This was a big expansive world, so it felt a bit more grander. So the absence of a temple didn't bother me, and it was just like all these little tiny temples seemed like kind of, I'll be honest, people might get mad at me for saying this, it seemed a little tech demo-y, but at the time like it's the first time we're trying it this way, so I'll do it. So I thought 7 years later we would maybe try something a little different other than just like it's all focused on crafting now. I'm like, well, crafting's not bad, but I don't really give a shit about it, if I'd be honest. And it can be fun to make some weird, crazy shit, but it's like, I almost feel like it takes longer to like make a stupid little fucking bird glider thing than it does, or a boat, than it does just to, what? I have my Sheikah slate here that can make ice pillars. Let me just do it that way. I feel like that takes so much more time to craft this shit than it would just to use the previous powers I had before.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like one of those ones like, maybe I'm just a traditional, like old school. I feel like the old folk, but like, can I just have like regular bombs and a regular boomerang? And you know what I mean? Like, why is there no hook shot like in these games? Like, I feel like this game's so designed to have like that kind of stuff. And it's just like, I just kind of, it's like one of those ones like, I was almost hoping this game was going to sort of be the combo of old school Zelda and like Breath of the Wild, where like you would add a little bit more of the items and things like that in there. And granted, I get it. Like, yeah, you can combine, you can make way more items than you ever could. And there is all the little tiny things that are interesting, but I don't know. It just feels like excessive work. And it's like, I've come to the conclusion a lot of times. I'm like, I'll just bully my way through there. Whatever.
And weapon durability doesn't really mean shit when it breaks eventually to me. Like
well,
the whole
they
thing
always
is like,
break. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, it's like, oh man, I sorry, that came out weird. What I meant to say. What I meant to say is like, look at all the variety of weapons. Well, they're all durable. They're all eventually going to break. Sure, this one you get more longevity out of them by fusing shit together or bringing things in. But like at the exact same time, like I rather just have a sword that doesn't break. I rather have specific weapons for specific type of enemies that I can get later. If I can't fight this, if I bump into a bad guy and I don't have the proper weapon for it, well, maybe that's a fun side quest to go do to get that proper weapon to go power up and then fight that bad guy. You know, I don't fucking. I hate when you get to a certain location and like, okay, let me swipe these vines. Okay, look, fuck. It actually needs something with a proper blade. I can't use like a club or something, which is what all I have on me at the moment. So now I got to go find a fucking sword and then come back here, you know? So it's like, it's going to break eventually anyway. So, and even it's like, oh, look, you got this cool new weapon. Cool. It's going to break eventually. Why the fuck am I going to get attached to this? And it breaks. And then what? I have to go through my menu, stop the middle battle, go through my menu. It's all these things about like Breath of the Wild that didn't bother me at the time, but it's been 7 years. This is shit that we should have, this is shit people were complaining about then. Why are we still doing it in this one that's apparently a perfect game with no flaws?
Yeah, I don't get that. It's just, and the thing too is like all the weapons, like, you know, they break pretty much on like, you only get about 1 or 2 kills out per weapon. So it feels like don't get attached to anything because it's just fodder. Like I don't even care. A lot of times I just fuse whatever the hell is sitting there. It's like, okay, that's getting fused to that sword, then whatever that is going to be. You know, I mean, there's not, if you kept stuff longer, I could see like, oh, I'm going to try to make the perfect sword or I'm going to try to make the perfect pole or anything like that. But you're just fusing shit together. Like, you know, Link is literally just like, he's pretty much out there with, you know, some super glue and duct tape, like putting stuff together. So it's like, I got a pole and I've just fused a bow and arrow to the edge of it for no fucking reason.
Yeah. So when I first saw like the ability, because I mean, I saw like, I saw the Nintendo Direct where you could fuse things together, but I didn't really pay much attention to how it looked. I assumed it'd be something like, okay, you can fuse this rail cart to the end of your sword or whatever, and it looks like a giant hammer. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. But here's what I thought would happen initially. I guess I didn't really pay enough attention when I first saw that. It's literally like someone just goes on top of whatever you're swinging around rather than like...
Squeeze some fucking Gorilla Glue on there.
Yeah, it literally looks that way. Some green Gorilla Glue from like Sky Goat, like, oh, here, use my hand for this shit. You know, it comes out of the tip of the finger. It comes right out from underneath the fingernails. You know, and it's like, okay, that's fucking weird, yeah. But it's one of those things where I thought that, like, for being Zelda and for having so much creativity behind it, it is a creative way to, it's core, it is creative, but I just thought they would put that extra little bit of Nintendo polish. And I'm not expecting a very different design for every little thing, but say, like, let's say I have, like, a club and I fuse that to a rock. Okay. I thought they'd do more than just stick the rock at the end of it. I thought something would happen, like some Full Metal Alchemist shit. Like it would look like maybe the wood would wrap around, like roots would come out and wrap around the rock. You know what I mean? So it doesn't look like someone just slapped some glue on the fucking thing. Or if you did that with the rail cart, the metal would warp and look in such a way to like it's kind of changed and contorted itself to become this other thing, kind of like alchemy, like in Full Metal Alchemist. I'm not saying that every single thing needs to have a very different specific look, but maybe something to the degree of like if you have this item, like a wooden item with a metal item, becomes this thing right here, but the stats are different depending on the item you fuse together. Because that would look so much more interesting than just like, oh, I did have a tree. Now I had a sword. Now there's a fucking tree connected to the end of it. Why? It's that way, you know. And the change, you know, or if you like fuse like a rock to your shield, it's not like you're just carrying around a fucking boulder. Like it just make like more of like a rock shaped shield, you know, or shield shaped rock. I mean.
Yeah, well, I felt like, yeah, it could have had a little bit more alchemy kind of look. I feel like it's one of those ones that's like, it's been 7 years. You didn't have to make the rest of the game. Like, well, why don't you focus a little bit more on these things here? Like, just for like a Nintendo game, as I said, it just feels like an expansion pack. And just like, it's one of those ones, if this was the expansion pack to Breath of the Wild, you'd be like, oh, this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, I don't think I'd bitch at all about it. But like, the fact that it is like a full game, I just feel like, as I said, I enjoy it, but it's got weird No. Like, I think it's when some people, like, when people start doing that thing, like, it's a perfect game, like, there's nothing but everybody. It's like, whoa. You gotta pump the brakes there. It feels like that's the same people that said that Red Dead Redemption 2 was a perfect game. Like, no, let's be honest. It's a good game, but it does have some flaws.
I think I like Red Dead Redemption 2 more than this, just because at least it's a different map. At least there's more to it than this, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. As I said, it's like this one of those ones, like, until I got to the Zora Temple, I was getting that point where I'm like, this might be the very first Zelda game that I've never actually finished when it came out. Like, that was like going through my head. I'm almost at that point, though, where I feel, I don't think, like, unlike Breath of the Wild and every other Zelda game I've ever played, where I just get everything, like, you know, a mad Pokemon collector, this is one of those ones I feel like, what do I need? Okay, is that what I need just to beat these 4 temples and then go get Ganon? Okay, that'd probably be it. Like, I feel like it's going to be one of those kind of runs. I just don't I don't know if I'll just be like, let's go out and get every single one of those dumb little temples. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe in the long run, who knows? We'll see how it kind of plays out. But I kind of feel if I even do go the whole way through, and the worst part is it's like a ticking time bomb because Diablo 4 comes out like on like the 6th or whatever. It actually comes out earlier for people that pre-ordered it. So there's like that's like the thing is like if I can beat it before then, but I feel like once Diablo 4 comes out, it's like, well, I hate to sort of say it. I've never said that about a Zelda game, but like Zelda's going to get pushed back because of another game.
I'm not sure if I'm ever going to come. I'll probably beat the main story, but I don't know if I'm going to go beyond that, you know. And even the main story depends how much shit I got to do. I might not even. I might just at some point like let me look at the cutscenes on YouTube. I just might have to do that at some point because I'm enjoying it, but it's just like like you're right. It just feels like the fucking expansion. That's all it really feels like. And yeah, is it an improvement of Breath of the Wild? Yeah, but not as much of an improvement. And it also feels kind of like it should be like, I don't know, like I haven't got to any of the temples yet. I remember the whole the beast things and the Breath of the Wild. Those all kind of have that similar kind of like robot magic kind of vibe. Now I'm assuming these all, I don't know what you do, but I'm in the middle of. I went to the Zoras first. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know. I just wandered off, and then like I came across the bird people. I was trying to do other shit, and I'm just gonna see what the bird people are up to. So I went to the bird people. I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna focus on the bird mission right now because I think I bumped into the Zoras while I was trying to clear all the towers, and then I realized I couldn't clear all the towers because I don't have whatever yet. So then I just found myself by the bird people. Like, fuck it, I'll just do these. So I haven't bumped it. I'm about to go to the bird temple, or what I think I am at least. And maybe when that happens, maybe they'll be more defined, the look and style of whatever these are. I just hope it's not all the same aesthetic as it was last time. It would be cool if each one is a little different. I mean, yeah, I know when you got to the Great Beast and Legend of Zelda and Breath of the Wild, they all like, well, if you look out the window, there's sand. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all...
Yeah. They were all robot magic. That was the only thing about Breath of the Wild is like, they just like nothing. It just didn't have that unique feeling that every other Zelda game, literally since day one, has had, you know. And so far, I'm at the water. I just got to like the beginning of the water temple of the Zora area. And at least, I mean, it's like a sky water temple. So far, it's been kind of a little bit more unique. At least it's all water themed, you know. I mean, everything in there, so on. I don't know what happens when you go actually inside the temple. Hopefully, it doesn't all have just that robot magic kind of feel. But I don't know. We'll just see. As I said, progressively, I have enjoyed it more the farther it's gone in there. You know, if these temples actually start to pick up, that might be the saving grace of the game. You know, I'm still not really looking forward to how much running around you do because there's no real practical way to get around that map as easily as one might think. Like fucking Link needs like a fucking biplane or something to get around here sometimes.
Get the bird from Skyward Sword.
Where the fuck's that bird at? It's supposed to be like these games are supposed to be related to that one.
Well, this is because I'm just saying what James tells. James is the Zelda expert, and we're actually going to do more of a. We're actually going to do. Octorok Talk is coming back when I'm going to get as far as I can. Mm-hmm. I'm a lot slower at video games than he is. So I'm going to get as far as I can. And when he's done, he has his ideas in mind. We're going to bring Octorok Talk back and we're going to go over it in more detail. This is more of a first impressions kind of thing. So James, if you're listening to this, we're still doing this on Octorok Talk. Don't worry. But the other thing though is, Yeah, it's basically because this is done by the same guy who did Skyward Sword, and Skyward Sword is meant to be the very beginning of Legend of Zelda, like the new. I know originally Ocarina of Time was, and then Minish Cap was, and then Skyward Sword is, and now we're jumping to then Breath of the Wild is jumping to the very end and obscuring kind of lines. Like, all right, which timeline is it? It doesn't really matter either way. This is where we're at. This is the end, and this is the net. So I'm wondering, like, story wise, I can see it being interesting. Because if a story thing pops up, it is. I am intrigued, but it's also like because it's also interesting here in like Crispin. I think it's Crispin Glover voicing Ganon. Alucard from the Helsing dub is voicing Ganon. Like,
oh, really? See, my game's in Japanese, so
okay.
I God forbid I have to listen unless it's Star Fox. I'm not listening to any Japanese game generally in like English, but
it's not bad. I mean, they sound like it sounds like anime characters, but I mean it. I do think it's funny how much the internet is lusting after Pura. Like, yo, dude, why are you going after Zelda? You got this fucking chick that's got it all right here.
Oh yeah, right there. The lady who was old at one point and also young at another.
And she's got the kind of like, she has the constant kind of like Instagram model, like pouty face, but she's always like kind of like a smart ass, like, oh, like, like just the whole audience, like, I think it was Circle Tunes who did this thing about like, Link, you must save me. And then like this like thing of like this Pura comes in like, oh, Link, I have a special new, like, I have this new, like he drew with giant tits or whatever. Like, he's just like, I have a new invention for you. And like incoming call, like on the Sheikah Slate from like Zelda, like ignore.
So it was like the Ocarina of Time days when like everybody at school would be like, hey, who do you think is the hottest chick in this one? Between Saria, Zelda. I remember like Princess Ruto, like I remember that was like the one Thomas Chiquette was like, dude, he's like, oh yeah, dude, it's all about Princess Ruto.
Oh, like fish. Malin.
Yeah, Malin, yeah.
The farm girl. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, as I said, I hope that like with these temples, as I said, like it definitely has gotten much better once I kind of got to the Zora area. So I hope it will kind of come around. It will still kind of be in there, and we'll still be trekking along and doing all this. Feel like a little bit of a repeat, but I don't know. Hopefully the next Zelda game will go back to more like, in my opinion, give me Skyward Sword, but just give me like the climbing abilities and things like that from like Breath of the Wild, and I'd be 100% happy. Because Skyward Sword was like the Zelda that to me was like the mind blowing one. Like, ever since like Ocarina of Time, I remember like Skyward Sword had that feeling of like it's like playing Zelda again, but for like the first time. And like the only thing that really is kind of like the same is like like Zelda and Link, and everything else about that feels so fresh and new. Like that's what I loved so much about that one.
The only thing about that one is when you have to go back and do all this shit again. It's like, oh, we got to fight Demise or whatever, and just like got to fight the scaly version of it again, like a couple of times. Like, that shit got a little old, but I mean, I like the world that's set up story wise. I think that is one of the better Zelda games, but I mean, I don't. It's not, that one's not a favorite, but it's definitely not one I dislike. Which
one? Skyward Sword?
There's no such thing as a Zelda game that I do dislike. And I'll be honest, I haven't played every Zelda game. I played most of the major Zelda games, but I've never actually played a Link to the Past. I've never played that, but I played A Link Between Worlds, which I'm told is more or less
it's
remake.
Yeah, because that one's like a weird one. It's a mixed match between being like a remake and a sequel all at the same time. And yeah, that Link Between Worlds, I feel like that's like the Zelda game that's sort of like a forgotten one. It's like pure amazing.
So good though. It's so good.
So good. It's like that because when you brought that up, I think it was like a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Zelda, and I was like, that right there almost like, I hate to almost even say it, that could almost be almost like my second favorite Zelda game. It's so good.
I got a Link right there. That Link is a Link Between Worlds link right there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's like one of those ones. Like that one's so cool. I mean, as I said, like there's no such thing as really a bad Zelda game. I think the only Zelda ones I've never played, actually, I've never played the Minish Cap. I've started up. I've never really played that one. I've always wanted to. And then the 2DS ones. Those were the only ones that I never got around to playing.
I started the Minish Cap once it came out on like the Switch. I named my character and like, okay, I'll come back to this. I haven't come back to it yet, but one day I will. Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about Minish Cap.
Yeah, because that's one of those ones there. But I'm like all the core ones and so on there, and so what have you. I don't know. But yeah, we'll just see how this one goes. Hopefully, as this thing unfolds, that like you'll be one of those ones where maybe Nintendo's like pulling a trick on you, making you think you're playing the same game over, and then actually it does turn out to be more. But
well, we're almost 50 minutes in. Do we still want to talk about the Turtles comic?
I know. I'm almost like, God, should these be 2 different podcasts?
Yeah,
and we could do that too.
Maybe we could. Yeah, maybe
you want to do 2 different podcasts?
Maybe
I know we're saying this like on air, we're like thinking about it, like, what should we do? Because I feel like the Turtles will be like another hour, so I'm like, well, we might as well. Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. What can we do to stretch this shit out to make it a complete hour?
We'll do mini episodes. So you know what? Here we go. Go to oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comic books like Pizza Boys, all our old animations and fun stuff like that. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunnigan.
And we'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.